Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I feel like it's been forever since I saw you guys, and it was just, I missed last month. But the event was wonderful, and it was appreciated that I made it, so that was good. Thank you all. I'm going to ask that we start the meeting, and recording is on. We have a couple of people that aren't going to make it tonight. That's Lee, Marie, and Eden. So, but we do have a quorum, so we will go forward for that. We are going to do a little bit different tonight. I'm going to table our whole meeting until the end because we have a guest speaker tonight. We have Reagan Howard from Brighton Hospice. She is a hospice RN case manager and educator. So we've invited her to talk about what her tasks are about hospice, how it is to work with people, what kind of things can be offered, etc., how the whole process works. And we are recording this so that anybody from home can watch this and be informed later on the road. So I guess Kelly is not coming either?
Oh, no.
Okay. I'll put her down as no, just in case. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Reagan. Hi. Hello.
Hi, Reagan.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Of course. Do you want me to sit?
Whatever is comfortable
Is it okay
for you.
if I sit?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So my mom had asked me if she thought that this would be a really good idea. And I think that hospice is one of those things, like she was saying, people aren't coming probably because they're scared, because it is such a, I think that the word hospice floats around with like a little rain cloud over it, and it creates this sense of dread. And I've been working in hospice for about 10 years now, and my mission is to change that narrative and make it really accessible for people, because it is such a powerful and good thing to have. So when I do these normally, I ask, so I just put it out there. When you think of hospice, what are some words that you think of when you first think of hospice?
End of life.
Mm-hmm.
End of life.
Yeah, death.
Death. There you go.
Hopeless.
Yep. Anybody thinking
Suffering.
suffering? Okay, good. Morphine. Anybody thinking morphine?
Yeah, I think
come to
morphine.
mind.
Morphine and death.
Yeah. So I kind of see it as the opposite. So hospice care is something that happens when a doctor, two doctors actually have said that you have 6 months or less to live based on whatever diagnosis they're using. There's Medicare, of course, has a list that we have to go by. But for people that have advanced dementia, we're looking at weight loss, we're looking at, decreased functionality, things like that. Cancer obviously is like a direct, you go right onto hospice, no problem there. But the supports that we can offer, I think, is what people don't understand, because we do think of death and we think of doom and gloom and all these other things, but really hospice is hope. So there's this, if I had the picture, if you take sick, SIC, out of hospice, you're left with hope. And I think that that's really important. So Medicare is the benefit that you can access for hospice. It's completely free. So I think that also takes a weight off of families' shoulders. If you're involved at all in private caregiving or medical equipment, it's outrageous. So once you initiate hospice, we cover all of your durable medical equipment, hospital beds, you name it. Anything we deem necessary, Medicare will pay for. They pay for the nursing services. That can be once a week if you're not needing it. It can be every day if you're needing it more. They provide home health aides no matter where you are, home, nursing home, assisted living, and that can be 7 days a week as well. So that gives a family a break, because it's intense to care for someone. We also cover all of the medications, and those get delivered to your house. So nobody has to be running out to CVS anymore, and nobody has to be calling a bunch of different doctor's office, the cardiologist, the this, the that. Your hospice nurse takes care of all of that, meshes it into one, and gets those meds taken care of and sent to the house for you. So that's easier too. We also cover all of your incontinence supplies, because that happens at death. We can't avoid it. That expense is huge. So Medicare says, okay, we'll pay for that too. And if you look at that, that's like everything you need to be well taken care of. And that's what we all deserve. So hospice is all about protecting your dignity, making sure that your death is comfortable and peaceful, and that you have support along the way. So hospice also comes with a whole team of people, right? So we have a medical director who oversees everything. We also have a social worker. Hospice social workers help with funeral plans. They can help with paperwork if we're struggling to get on Title 19, or if people need help in general, accessing any services in the community or anything that we can help with. We also do a lot of really cool, like the social workers, we do a lot of like memory type of legacy projects. So for some of my patients, I'll gather, give me some of dad's favorite shirts. And then we have it turned into a bear, and it's made with dad's favorite shirts. So you have a piece, or
And that's covered?
it's a hospice. Yeah, we cover. So hospice takes care of it. The hospice I work for, we do any of these little legacy projects, but I'm not saying we're the best. We're pretty good though. But I've done fingerprints and made into jewelry for people. Anything you can think of. Palm prints into stepping stones in the garden. I've taken a lot of really beautiful end-of-life pictures and have them turned into, I like them in black and white. I think that they have a bigger impact. But then 6 months from now, we might stop by the family's house and make sure that they have it. Things like that that I think are beyond morphine, suffering, death. It's a comfort. What was I saying after that? So we do the legacy projects. We help with funeral planning, helping with all of that stuff. And we also have a chaplain. So every hospice has a chaplain. They're non-denominational. So I think a lot of times what we hear is when we go out to do like an admission, I'm not religious. And we kind of go, okay. But we're not just going in there. Our chaplain isn't going in there with like a Bible and, it's another person to talk to, and it's another person to help with life review. When people are dying, they're coming to terms with their life ending, right? And so it's a circle. And sometimes the chaplain, the nurse, the social worker, we become the little bridge that helps you complete your circle. And that's stuff very important. So my chaplain, we have one patient, nonverbal dementia, she's like 98 years old, but she loved short stories. She was, so chaplain goes in and just reads her story every week. And it's just somebody else to put eyes on your loved one during that time. So I guess hospice can be in any place. You can have hospice at your house. You can have hospice in a nursing home. You can have hospice in an assisted living. We don't see it much here, but hospice can be under a bridge. It doesn't matter. Everybody deserves that care. So all of those services are available. If you're at home and you have somebody that is dying at home, it is a really hard task on the caregiver. It's emotional, it's never ending, it's 24 hours. So the benefit of hospice is all of that. If our aide comes in, you can run to the store, you can take a break, you could take a nap, you could go for a walk, you could eat ice cream in your bed and cry. It doesn't matter. You have that time to yourself, and we gave you back that time. If you have a loved one in the nursing home, the support there is even greater for the patient as opposed to the family. Because in the nursing home, families usually are, outside and they come in and visit. But we all know that staffing in healthcare is terrible. Everybody's short-staffed. So if you think about moms in the nursing home, well, every day, mom's getting a visit from the aide for 1 hour. Mom's getting a bath. She's getting her hair washed. We've done pedicures, manicures. I've curled hair and made it just so, things that are important, because that person is a whole person. They were a whole person before I met them. They have a whole history, so they deserve to have their hair curled the way they want it. But then we're there to help feed a meal. We're there to make sure the sheets get cleaned. We are there to oversee some of the things that get lost in healthcare. I think that's just a fair statement to make. And then if you're in assisted living, it's the same thing. So, let's see. What else was I going to say? So I think hospice is a way of having the tools you need to do the thing that has to happen. We're inevitable. because death is inevitable. Nobody likes to think about it. I totally understand that. But the person that is actually dying, they need somebody to talk to about that. They need somebody to acknowledge it, because if you try to be in a room with somebody and they're like, we don't want to use the word hospice, mom doesn't know. I guarantee you that mom knows her body is shutting down. We know when we don't feel good. So mom knows, and she wants to talk about it. So sometimes we come in and we start making those conversations happen between, and those conversations are going to be the ones that mean a lot. You know, you're going to get to say what you needed to say, if it's good or bad. Maybe mom has something to say, and hospice helps facilitate that. We do comfort care. So that's why morphine is always sticking out in people's head, because it is the best medicine to use at end of life, for the reasons that morphine provides respiratory comfort. So as our body shuts down, the brain changes what it's regulating, and our breathing patterns change and things like that. So morphine kind of connects to the brain and says, you're not hungry for air, you're not suffocating, it's okay. And it eases that respiration. So where people are like, it causes like, you know, it does, it slows your respirations, but not to the point where you're gone. It's to the point where it takes the edge off. So your body's not struggling against itself. Has anybody here ever taken a Percocet? When they gave out painkillers before in the past, you know, they used to give them quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
So if you've ever had a Percocet, the amount of morphine we use, which is like 5 milligrams to start, that Percocet is 100 times stronger of an opiate than the amount of morphine we're giving. So if you put it in context, it's not a lot. It's just enough to take that edge off. And then we also use Ativan, which I'm sure people are familiar with, right? Because that's an anti-anxiety medication. I can't fly without it. So we use that to calm people's anxiety. There's things called terminal restlessness, which is like something you wouldn't expect to be having. Like I'll share a quick story. So this morning, one of my patients fell, and she was like, I have to get to work. I have to go to work. And I was like, well, we're all like, no, you don't have to go to work. You're here. She was adamant. Later in the day, we found her in the bathroom. I have to get ready for work. So my hospice brain pulls that and goes, she's trying to get things done. She's got something she needs to do. She can't relax because there's something. So we gave her some Ativan, and she was able to relax. She has what we call terminal restlessness. She doesn't even know, because this woman has no dementia, no nothing. She just was like, I need to be doing this. I need to be doing something. And it's poised towards, I'm going somewhere. I have something to do. I have something I have to finish. Sometimes people are going to want to pack suitcases, or they're going to say out of nowhere, can you get me the car keys? And you're like, what? You haven't driven in 10 years. What are you doing? They're trying to say, I'm going. I'm traveling. I'm going somewhere. And so we calm that with an anti-anxiety medication. So those are the two heavy hitters that you'll see that people use. And that's why I think they get that reputation of, we use medications like the morphine and the Ativan, but we're not using them to hasten anything. It isn't like...
That is a perception.
Yes, we're not. It's nothing like that. And I think that when people see, a lot of times I'll say to families, I think we should maybe start the morphine. No, I don't want to do that. The mom looks like she's in pain. Don't you think she's in pain? Like, do you agree with me? Yes. I said, well, why don't I stay? We'll give a small dose. I'll stay. Let's have a cup of coffee, and we'll sit with mom, and we'll see how it goes. Because the thought is, you're going to give mom morphine and she's going to die. So we stay and we wait and we have a cup of coffee. And then maybe mom's not asleep. Maybe we targeted the pain where mom's now sitting and having coffee with us, because we hit the one thing that was bothering her, and she could relax, you know, and then be awake. If you're in pain, you're not, you know, you're uncomfortable, you're distracted, you're not yourself. So if you can manage those little things. So the hospice philosophy is finding that, like that balance between, is my patient comfortable and are they still able to participate in life? The whole point is to give you a great quality of life for however long you have. We don't want to have you snowed, and, you know, that's not the point. When the body is to the point where it's shutting itself down, then we tend to be a little more aggressive, because the work here is done. The machine is now taken over and it needs some help to shut down. But it's not hastening anything. We're not making it happen. So a couple other things hospice does really quick, just because I think, I just think that, maybe you weren't aware of any of these things. The other things we do is we provide respite care. So let's say you've had mom at home for 2 years with dementia, and that's exhausting, right? And your son's graduating college in New Hampshire, but you can't figure out what to do with mom, and you're not going to get to go. So hospice provides respite. So 5 days in a nursing home, completely covered. Your hospice staff still goes to the nursing home. We still are in charge of the plan of care, but now you could go and see your son graduate and know that we've got this covered for you. And you can utilize that a couple times.
Right, so you mean like if your mother's at home, you could stick her in a nursing home for 5 days? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
So they wouldn't come to your house, you have to stick mom in a nursing home?
yeah.
Yeah.
Place.
Sorry.
You have to place mom in a nursing
You have to
home.
place mom somewhere outside of her house.
But if you think about it, and people have options, but of course you could pay a live-in caregiver. But if anybody's had any experience with that,
I've actually flown to Florida for 2 weeks to take care of somebody.
it's,
So taking them out of their home is the hard part.
it is. It can be very difficult.
And finding a nursing home for 5 days is also very difficult.
So that's where our social worker comes in. We take care of
Okay.
all of that. We get all the paperwork set, we provide the ambulance, there's no cost. So if you've got no other choice, some people, if you're on Medicaid, probably can't afford a private caregiver. Medicaid will take the same, so it doesn't matter where you are financially, you can still have the same benefit, which for some people is helpful.
Do some people take advantage of that? Like they take their person they're caring for out of their home, place them in a facility for 5 days?
Yes, place them in facility all the time. We have it happen all the time because after a while, after 2 years or 3 years, and you've missed a lot. So, and it also depends on like their comfort level and where is mom in the process? Is mom sleeping 100% of the time and not really like sleeping 22 hours a day? Will she be completely overwhelmed by the change? If not, then it's probably okay. If we were like, gee, mom might get really, when you change somebody with dementias, their environment, obviously, they tend to have like a rebound effect. So if that's the case, then a good hospice nurse wouldn't say, hey, that's probably a good thing. Then we might say, how can we help you get, do I have a friend that I know that might be willing to come and help you under the table? Sure. There's a whole network of people that can help find solutions for things you need.
So I have an extended question. What have you found by your patients that this has been done to, and in that they've been placed for a week?
Yeah.
How is their reaction when they come back home? My fear would be that they would be so depressed or thinking this is the end and not react well when they come back home.
I haven't seen any of that. I've seen a lot of positive, like, if we sit in our bodies right now and like we're moms, right? I wouldn't want my kids to miss out on something because of like where I was. I think so I see relief. Like, you've been taking care of me. Yeah, I'm okay with going here. Please go see the graduation. I don't want you to miss that because
You're not Italian, are you?
I'm not Italian at all. I don't get any of that guilt or any of that good stuff. But the
Can you
other,
relate, Tom?
Oh, I can relate.
the other part of that is we amp our services. So it's not like we place mom over here and then she's just there. It's hospice going every day. You're still getting that same nurse coming, the aide. So if she's bonded with us, we can even have our volunteers come and sit vigil sometimes. So if some people aren't Italian and they don't have families, and we don't want anybody to die alone. So we do vigils. If someone's actively dying and they don't have family, then our volunteers, we go and sit with the patient. And we create these environments. We all have in our cars, we all have diffusers so that I can have lavender oil or some other kind of aromatherapy. I have lotions and I can do therapeutic touch. So I do hand massage, feet massage. There's a lot to be said from somebody sitting and holding your hand, you know, or playing music. We all have, my hospice provides us all with these little Bluetooth speakers. So we have speakers that we just carry around with us. And so wherever I go, I had one gentleman, he was a basketball coach. And he wanted to, you guys know that song? Da-na-na-na-na. Hey! Da-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
He wanted that on repeat. We just played it in his room repeatedly. I mean, people, when you're in the act and you've accepted and you have control, I think hospice is taking control as opposed to losing control, then people do a lot of really cool and interesting things. But I think the help of hospice is having like a Sherpa with you to walk you through the tough times, to walk you through, I never saw this before, mom's never done this before, understanding that you always have, and it's 24/7. So you have 24/7 access to a nurse who will come out or talk you through it, or all my patients have my work cell phone and they can get a hold. You know, it's a commitment, but it's, I think when you have, you know, hospice people, we're happy to do the commitment because you only have this shot once. And that's something that I think is a really important part of the philosophy. You only get to die once. And if we mess it up, then that's really a huge disservice. But if we can help you walk through it with grace and, you know, turn it into a positive, terrible experience, right? It's terrible. Nobody wants to die and nobody wants to lose their loved one. If we can help make it just this much easier, then I think that that's a service that's worth, you know, invoking and not being so afraid of when you can understand that. You know, the other thing to know too about hospice is it's all voluntary. You sign on because you're like, I don't want to go get any more treatment, or mom's in the, or dad, you know, dad's in the circle of going into the hospital and they give him some fluids and they do this and then you come home and then in a week he's sick and he's going back. And if you're in that body, you're exhausted. It's tiring to go to the hospital, take an ambulance and get the pokes and all this stuff. And you keep doing this. And then they'll finally say like, I don't want to go to the hospital anymore. And so rather than having your hands tied and being like, well, now what? You can invoke hospice and we can come in and help walk you through it. The other thing is you can say, screw this. I want him to go to the hospital, and it's a signature on a piece of paper and you can go to the hospital. And there's no, it's just that easy. And you go, and then a lot of times you'll see families, they do it once. I always say everybody gets one. Because they get scared when somebody doesn't eat or drink. And we know that that's what we do, right? Like we send mom for fluids and she gets better. And then when she comes back, it's a much better experience. So the first time you're like, people go. You can get all the way in the emergency room. You can get those fluids. You just can't get admitted. Or Medicare will say, we're going to pay for the cheapest thing. They're not going to pay your hospital bill. So that's why you want to revoke. That's all it is. But you can always say, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore, and be done.
You have people that sign up for hospice and then go out of hospice and then come back into hospice and go out of hospice?
All the time. All the time. Like, if, that's the best example I can give, right? We're at home and we're in charge, and now we have hospice, which is so heavy. And then you might feel helpless, right? Like, mom's not eating. I don't know what to do. I just, you know, or mom's blood pressure is going lower. And we only know how to fix things. We're in a fixing mentality. So we go to the hospital to fix it. And we go and maybe they get some fluids but I think understanding that those things at end of life aren't helpful, they're harmful. But usually what'll happen is if, say, one of my patients, I meet them at the emergency room. So I'm like, you're going to the emergency room? Let me meet you there. So I can be the advocate for my patient to the emergency room. Like, we are on a hospice plan of care. What are you guys thinking of doing? This is what we were thinking of doing. And sometimes families just need that reinforcement, and then they'll say, okay, never, we're gonna go home. Or they could say, forget it, admit her, I want the gamut of tests. And that's everybody's choice. Nobody knows how to, right? You know, what I say to families a lot is, we don't lose our mom and dad. We only do it once. So we don't know what we're going through. And I sit here and I say this to my families all the time, sorry, mom and dad, but I go, I haven't lost my mom and dad, so I don't know what I'll be like when the time comes. So I can sit here and say this about your mom, but I don't know. It's a personal journey. So I think understanding that, and having people to explain to you the natural part of a body shutting down, what it needs, what it doesn't need, what it's going to look like, giving you chaplain support, giving you a social worker to help you, giving a nurse that comes in, and you kind of create a bond pretty quickly. If anybody remembers when you had your kids, this is how I relate that to. Remember the first baby you had and you were like, you went in the room and that nurse just became your you've done this a million times, I've never done this, so you're my person. It's the same thing, just on the other end. I'm your person and we're gonna get through this and it's gonna be okay. I can have all the comfortable or uncomfortable conversations. You can ask me things that it's okay, right? You're gonna cry, it's okay. I'm gonna hug you. It's gonna be okay. But it's not gonna be without pain or feeling. That I can't take away from you. But I can walk with you so that you have somebody next to you that's making it understandable, or those moments when you wanna call 911. What if we just, let's talk it through really quick. Is this what we want to do? That's not what we wanted to do yesterday. So is this what we want to do now? So I like to tell a story. If you guys are done with stories, that's fine. If you want me to be done, that's fine too. But
Tell a story.
Yeah, tell us.
tell a story, okay. So I had this patient and he was young. I don't love the young patients, but they need me. So he was 23 and his name was Max. And I went out to admit him in Litchfield. And I walked into his room and I was like, okay, he's got Grateful Dead posters everywhere, and I was like, I think we're soulmates, Max, because I love the Grateful Dead. And we just started talking about it. He'd been in the hospital for 7 weeks. He had a brain tumor. And in 7 weeks, so I was sitting with him, we're talking with him. And he's like, I just miss a shower. Nobody showered me in 7 weeks because we sit in the hospital and they don't, So I called my friend who also worked with me at the time. And I said, tomorrow we're going to have to do a shower. And she was like, okay. I'm like, no, we're going to wear Crocs and shorts and bathing suit because he didn't have the right shower. So that's what we did. So we met him there. We got him into the shower. I was on one side holding him up. She was on the other side. We got his beard trimmed. We got his hair clean, everything he wanted. And then we got him, back in bed. And he was like a new guy, right? So a couple days, he's eating, he's drinking, he's spending time, he's at his grandparents' house, his mom, his dad, his brother, his sister, everybody moved into the house. It was gorgeous. And he pulls me aside and he goes, what if I want to be done? And I was like, what do you mean, what if you want to be done? He goes, what are we doing? I'm not going to get any better. And I was like, oof, okay, well, there's medicine you're on that's really helping you, and you can voluntarily decide. It's a steroid. And I said, you could decide you don't want to take it if you want, And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to think about it. I thought, okay. So I came back the next day, and he was like, I don't want to take the medicine anymore. And I said, okay, so realistically, we're looking at 24 to 36 hours before you're gone. He was like, that's fine. So can you tell my mom and dad for me? I was like, okay. So we went outside and we had a nice little chat about what the decision was, because that way we were emotional out here talking about it, but then when mom and dad could go in, they were already talked it through a little bit. So he went in, he had what he wanted for his last supper. He was listening to the Dead show he wanted to be listening to, something from 77 or something. He had his thing planned out. So I was leaving one night and I said, okay, this is where we're at. And I get a phone call the next morning and they're like, hey, can you order us some antibiotics? I think he has pneumonia. And I was like, antibiotics? We're at the end point. So I said, I'm going to be there in about 10 minutes. So let's talk about it when I get there. So when I get there, Max is in bed and Max's family can only see him as Max. We're asking them to see him as a patient. So they weren't able to kind of move in during the night or anything like that. So he had been sitting in the same position. And so he had fluids draining from his nose that they thought was, but it wasn't that, it was fluid. So I was like, you know, guys, I think what we should probably do is why doesn't everybody go on this side of the bed for me? Because I'm just going to do a little stuff over here on this side, but I want you to be in the room. I want you to see him. So I tipped him, I rolled him up on his side so he was facing his family, and I sat with my back against him like this because I knew that they had left him in his position so long that he wasn't breathing anymore. His mechanics were breathing. So he was breathing, and so when we tipped him, we knew he was going to pass away because his heart wasn't actually pumping anything. So I sat there like this, and they didn't even realize that he had slipped away. It was so beautiful and peaceful, and they were right there. And we then did a bath for him. Mom and Dad came in, we did a bath together, washed him all up. Sister comes running downstairs. She goes, Max gave this to me for when he died. I was like, okay. She had this big joint. I was like, what is this? And she was like, Max wants to be blown away on a puff of smoke. And I was like, that's hysterical. So everybody, grandma, gathered around Max's bed. They smoked this joint, and they listened to music, they blew it at him, and it was a send-off that was like exactly what 23-year-old Max had for himself. I only knew Max's family for 5 days, and that's how intense it can be. But in those 5 days, I met him, met his dignity requests, last meal requests, had difficult conversations with his parents, and then made it as smooth as it could be. It's painful, but as smooth as it could be. And to me, when I think of hospice, I think of Max, because 5 days, just this intense, like laser focus, and I was there for all the things they needed. And so was everybody else in the hospital. We were just there. And that to me is what hospice is. We did all the things he needed and helped his family and helped him. And that's what hospice is. So it's not scary. It's beautiful if you can, think about it that way. Once you're okay with what's happening.
No.
That's hospice in a nutshell. And it's free. That's key. That's important. So that's my spiel.
What's the difference between Masonic care
The agency.
and hospice?
So Masonic Care has a home health agency, but they also have the building in Wallingford. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just thinking, in the hospital, they always say hire Masonic care, whatever.
I work for Masonic Care. They have a hospice program.
They have hospice.
Yeah, they have hospice, and they were just really popular and well known. But everybody's breaking. We're almost oversaturated with hospice companies now. If everybody's trying to get into it.
Well, we had to come up with money.
So did you go to Wallingford?
No, they came to the house, but we had to come up with like $1,000, and then my mom had passed, so she just needed to get home, and she was gone the next morning or the next afternoon,
Oh.
and they had to refund us money because we had to put out money, and
I only
so
can think of maybe the ambulance. That maybe they made you pay for the ambulance from
No.
point A to point B. I have no idea.
so that's why I was thinking,
Yeah. The thing is to remember, you all have choices in whoever you're choosing. So if I'm in St. Francis, they're under the Trinity umbrella. Of course, they're going to say, you should use Trinity, or you should use any of them, Hartford Healthcare, Inhabit, Enliven, Brighton. I would say you have research that you can do, the Medicare STAR program. You can do that for anything. We're all rated on surveys and we get these stars. So if you want to look at a couple different hospices, you plug their names in and it's going to show you what people have said about them across the board, what the state has said about them in their surveys and stuff. But you always have a right to not accept who. So if I'm at St. Francis and they're like, you should go with Trinity, I know personally I'm not going to go with Trinity. So I thank you for that, but I want you to hook me up with this service. Nobody gets offended, because there's always that feeling, I don't want to upset
Right.
somebody. Do what you need to do, but nobody's gonna, you have that right to choose. And if you've chosen and you're in a couple weeks in and it's not working for you, get a different agency. And that's as easy as nothing. You have to do nothing. The hospice will take care of everything. Even if you don't like your nurse, just say, I don't like my nurse. If you don't have that connection, then you're not going to have what you need. And if it wasn't me that came in and could meet your needs, and you said I wanted someone different, I'm not going to be hurt. I'm going to be like, I hope you get what you need. Because if it's not me, I want you to have the right thing, right? So Google reviews, there's tons of Google reviews. Just do your
I would
homework.
say like word of mouth is probably the best one because staff changes a lot, as you know.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So it's just going to be like talking to people who have had a experience probably in the past
Exactly.
6 months.
Yeah, how did it go for you, and what
Yeah.
are the things that are important to you? Is reliability, is having the same person important to you? Is it, I don't really care who comes as long as somebody, whatever it is, make sure that they're going to meet your needs.
Well, one of the issues that I, as the chair of this commission and life experiences in the last couple of years, is things happen so quick. And so you're not prepared to do research. You're trying to handle a difficult situation as it is.
Yes.
And now you want me to go research hospice. So actually, Suzanne
Yeah.
is as our main person, not the only person working on it, but we're all supposed to be adding information. We're creating some kind of a handout that has, resources and suggestions and stuff, so that people will have something in these kind of an emergency situations.
That's smart. Like different agency names, is that what you're kind of coming up with? Like, these are your options, or?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing it for other things too, but we certainly can put some of the hospices down. So
Right.
Brighton, of course, would be on it.
The thing to remember too is, like, if you've come to the decision and your doctor sends in the referral, or families can call too. So if families will call and go, I want to talk about hospice for my mom, then we can go out, we can have a meeting, we can talk to you, then we can reach out to the doctor and go, well, what do you think? And they'll send the referral. But you should be admitted in less than 24 hours from when we get a phone call to being actually signing the paper should be less than 24 hours, so that you shouldn't have too much time where you're like, I guess hospice is coming. You should be able to access that right away.
So the doctor recommends you for hospice?
Yeah, you need 2 doctors. So say you go to your PCP and they're like, geez, there's not much, you're steadily losing weight and all these things. There's not a lot of treatment options. You should consider hospice. So you can go, okay. And then they'll send out the referral to whatever agency it is. I'm going to say Brighton. So like, we'll send the referral to Brighton. I'm the nurse at Brighton. I get a thing that says, Mary Smith, we got a referral. Can you go out to Mary Smith's house and look over what the doctor sent and then tell us, can we admit her? So I go out to Mary Smith's house. I've read the doctor's notes. I meet with the family. Like, what are your goals of care? What do you want to have happen? What don't you want to have happen? And then go, okay. I call my medical director and I go, this is what I'm seeing, this percentage of weight loss, this. Okay, we can admit with this diagnosis, and then you're on service. But you need 2 doctors.
So they're like their primary care physician and your medical director?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. But it can be the oncologist, it can be the cardiologist, it could be anybody that can send in. And like I said, families advocate for themselves. If the doctors didn't want to have the conversation, but say somebody's like, I know she's not doing well, then we can come and do a little fact finding to help you.
So then you have to find the 2 doctors, your medical director and somebody else.
Yeah, but it's easy to, like, hey, you've had her, this is, doctors aren't, I find that they don't want to have that conversation right away. They're not comfortable there. But if you call them and go, they reached out to us, they're like, oh, that's great. That's probably exactly what she needs. So that's not ever been a problem. There's times when people don't qualify. So say a nursing home is like, hey, can you go see so-and-so, and you haven't met the Medicare standard. A lot of times with dementia or any of those like cognitive declines, you'll see somebody that's at like this level of functioning, and then all of a sudden they kind of come down to here. And this is like in this little gap is when they're like, you should do hospice. But then they stay like this for a very long time. You can graduate from hospice because we're like, gee, Medicare is not going to keep paying for you here. You haven't stepped down yet. So we can take you on for the first 90 days and just kind of watch and see how you do. And then you get another 90 days. And then that's when Medicare starts going. Do they really qualify? And we go through with a fight. Like, I measure everybody's arms. I measure everybody's thighs. I measure everybody's weight. I can find, like, can you look me in the eye today? But yesterday, you know, like, or now you can't, and yesterday you could. Any of those little things that we're trained to find and write up will keep people eligible. It's
Does
for
it happen often that people graduate from hospice?
It happens often enough that, you know, we like to let people know, because if it's a dementia person, a patient with dementia or cognitive, you know, and like I said, you have this little drop, but then everything else is going,
Yeah.
you know, just fine. I had admitted a patient one time, they had sent her from a behavioral health unit back to her assisted living. And they were like, she lost 11 pounds when she was in the behavioral health unit. So right there, we have a big weight loss in a short amount of time, which could indicate, you know, absorption issues or just that your failure to, you know, maintain your nutrition. So when we took her on, she was very appropriate. But she was also on a slew of medications that they had given her in the behavioral health unit to kind of keep her calm. So when we came in, we started backing off some things because she was sedated. And as she woke up, she was hoofing it up and down the building. She was everywhere. And so she graduated because I was like, I can't justify, she's not eating her napkin anymore. She's putting on weight. She's eating, she's walking. But what I did in that, I was like, she's not right for this facility. I recommend you move her over here where she can wander the building, because they kept medicating her because she would walk and try to go in. She just wanted to walk and go into people's rooms. So they would be like, uh-oh, you acted up, and then they'd give her meds and knock her out. We moved her to this other facility that I still go to. She's like the happiest little clam because she can just go in and out, outside, inside, everybody's room. So she's not on hospice anymore, but I get to see her 4 or 5 times a week and say hi to her. She has no idea who I am because she has dementia, but high functioning. So she came off. Yeah. So it's not also even a death sentence. It could just be like, oof, maybe this is changing. Let's get support in place. I think we're okay. So, but you can also access your benefit as many times as you want. So there's no, you know, if we graduate and then 6 months later we come back, that's fine. You graduate again. It doesn't matter. We can keep going back and forth. There's no limit.
No 3 strikes and you're out.
Nope. And we've had people on service for 4 years. You know, so it's like you have this 6 months. Somebody says, you know, all these things point to 6 months, but buddy, you don't know me. Maybe I'm going to keep going. You know, the will to live is strong in this woman.
Right.
4 years, we're still going, and, you know,
Wow.
yeah. So it's not that, but in the meantime, that the wife that's taking care of the husband for 4 years is getting, you know, equipment, incontinence supplies, help with washing, feeding, all those things. So, you know, as long as we can justify it, which we are pretty good at, then we can keep going.
Palliative versus hospice.
Palliative is the waiting room for hospice. So when you come in on a palliative care, they're saying you have something that's like terminal. It's usually maybe like a cancer, right? So you don't have any major treatments available to you yet, but the family isn't ready to say, I want to do hospice. So they put you on a palliative program, which means they're just going to keep focusing on not escalating your care, but keeping you comfortable. You still end up in the hospital for things. There's no, the hands are still tied. So if you're home and you can't eat or drink, you're still going to the hospital and everything like that. It's when you access hospice that you don't have to do those things anymore, especially like in a nursing home or whatever. We can't even do palliative care in a nursing home because you're already in a skilled spot. But palliative care is, I have something terminal, but I'm not ready to say I want to do hospice yet. Very few hospices have palliative programs. They're separate because it's still considered home care. So to go on palliative care, you still need to have a skill. Like, do you have a wound? Do you have a Foley? What's the reasoning a nurse has to go out? Some things we're supposed to educate you on. So let's say somebody has like a wound on their leg. Nursing can go until you we've shown you and you can do it, and then nursing can back off because Medicare won't pay for that. So if you go out for palliative and you're like, well, you know, I was at the casino last weekend, like right there, I can't take you on because you're not home then, right? You can still function and go out of your house. If you come onto hospice, I just had my guy go to Cape Cod for the 3-day weekend. He was at the casino the weekend before. No holds barred. Because we want you to have a good, and even then, he was traveling to the Cape, so we called up to the Cape and said, hey, hospice company up there, my patient's coming, can you watch him for us? So the family got another hospice to call if there was an issue. They were still completely covered under the program. We just said, hey, he's traveling, can you watch him for us till he comes back? So he was out on the beach in his wheelchair and wait, you know, like everything we can do to make their life better, we're here to support. But if you're on palliative care and you told me you went to the grocery store, I'm like, uh-oh, if you can leave the house, then. So palliative care to me is not, it's not very helpful for families. It doesn't provide them anything except like this holding pattern where you're still going to the hospital and you're still getting these interventions done. So I don't know that it helps that much unless they get like the social worker involved. There's something that helps bridge. That's
I just want to say, I admire your work and any hospice staff. I don't know how you do it because you know your patients are not going to recover. And the family and friends have all got to be despondent all the time. Does it weigh on you?
So I think we have to be able to kind of like, you know, step a little bit. I will say I have my beloved file of people that have, like, I cried when I left Max's house. And that Christmas they sent me one of his Grateful Dead t-shirts and it means the world to me. But everybody, like I treat everybody just like I would treat anybody, right? Like everybody gets the same version of me and the same treatment. But sometimes you just end up like going into a house and something is just a little different. Maybe the family's more open to you being there. Maybe they're Italian and they're feeding me cookies or something and then I kind of hang out a little bit longer. The food is exceptional. But I think we have support groups for us too in place. So my hospice, we have a staff support group. We also do these things called an honor hour. So every month we as a staff all get together and we do a ceremony where we put up our patients that we lost and then we have time to remember them and say something we want to say. And that kind of keeps everything, you know, but someone has to do it. I'm glad it's me because I don't want to work with children. Like I don't, you know, like the pediatric nurses and stuff, I feel the same way about them, but I couldn't do anything else. I've been doing this for 10 years and it's like, this is just what I'm supposed to do. So, but thank you.
Yeah, you're cut up for it, huh?
Yeah, I am. I really am.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like today I worked and I saw 3 patients that are actively like changing and I'm still here at dinner with my parents and everything, but they got the best of me and if they needed anything, I'm here. So, yeah.
Is there like a limit to the amount of patients you work with? Like,
We're supposed to have lower caseloads in a perfect society, but I have 18 people right now that I'm responsible for.
18?
18. I specialize in, so I have a specialization in glioblastomas. So I partner with Dr. Becker up at UConn, and they utilize me. So when one of their patients is coming on, so I have like 6 of his patients just because I specialize in the care. And I'm training the other nurses to get there, but there's just different interventions and also it's emotional because it's hard. You know?
Glioblastomas are with brain cancer in young people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did anybody know there was a girl, Abby, in Simsbury? She was very young, 18. Does anybody know Abby? She passed away, I think, last year. I was on her case as well. Sweet girl. We managed to get the Boston Bruins to call her because she was a huge hockey buff. So hospice worked out for the Boston Bruins to give her a call, and there was a whole video chat, and they sent her some signed stuff. So it's that kind of stuff that we can do that's just like, the best kind of nursing, in my opinion. If I go in and I'm like, you want a beer? Great. What kind? Let me go get it for you. That's the opposite of nursing in general.
Right.
That's what you need at end of life. Who am I to say? You know, like, it's not my place to judge. It's my place to be like, here you go. You want a tequila? Absolutely. And that's usually what people are looking for, the things that they've
Yes.
taken away from themselves, which is, I think, and let's say you're in the family and I had a guy, I was in the room and they're like, you know, his nickname used to be Tequila Ralph. And I was like, his name was Tequila Ralph? And they're like, yeah, you know. And I said, well, why don't you go get a little thing of Patron? And, you know, we give those little mouth swabs to, I said, stick it in there and wipe his mouth with the Patron. And they said, we could do that? And I said, of course you could do that. I mean, they ended up having a cocktail hour in his room, like a tequila party with his kids and his grandkids. They were younger, but they were on the floor over there. They had a huge celebration. And that's the way, you know what I mean? That's kind of what you want to have. You know, I don't think anybody would sit and say, I want everyone to be sad around me and, you know, just being sad. Nobody would want that. I don't want that. You know, be happy, have a good time. And I think, but maybe you can't do that unless somebody says to you, it's okay. You know, or put mom's coffee right here next to her bed. She loved coffee. She's not awake to drink it, but she can smell it. And you can sit and have your morning coffee with mom. Keep things normal. People to help you understand those things. And that's what you need. Because otherwise it's just, it's too big.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thank you for doing
Thank
what
you
you're
very much.
Oh, of course,
Yes.
yeah. I love doing what I do. So
On a brownie?
I'll see you all at somewhere. I'm just kidding.
Ah.
Thank you for having
On a
me.
brownie before you go?
I do.
Do you want to leave your business card so we can leave it on our nightstand
You
for
know,
people?
I'll have somebody send, I said to my mom, I didn't want to bring things like right in the base because I wasn't sure if that was unprofessional. You guys should eat the brownies, are really, really good. But I can always get some stuff out to you if you want. We have all kinds of cool little, we have these seed flower packets made with like to plant in your garden. You give them to families to, I was going to bring those, but I will make sure you guys get some stuff because I would say really good agency. We have a lot of things, like I worked at Masonicare, I worked at McLean, I worked at a couple different, you know, and we're a little different. So, and I enjoy what we're doing.
I just want to point out, Suzanne's a geriatric social worker. She's got one of the classes, and she worked at Brighton way at the beginning.
No, I didn't work at Brighton. I knew Brighton. I knew Brighton like when you guys first started.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you were in our assisted living.
Got it. Oh,
Yeah. Hoffman Summer.
Hoffman Summer. You look familiar. So I've met you. I've talked to you before. Healthcare is so
Right, exactly.
it's just such small, which is why you have to be a good person.
Right.
what we need.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining
thank
us,
you.
sir.
For sharing your stories.
Yes. Gay presentation. Great. Great. Oh, I feel like crying.
That's hard.
It is. It's very hard. Okay, so we are going to start out. Views last month were 23. So we had 23 people watch our video from February. So because of this presentation, it is recorded, and Mark will help me get the recording. Perhaps separate from the meeting, so we'll be able to put that online, and I'll get that on Facebook too, so people. So next month, I'd like to see what the number is for views, and see how many actually looked at it. I would like the minutes of the past meeting. We're going to try and get through some of this. I was not here, so I would like to hear a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
So I'll do Warren.
Warren, and then John, will you second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? All approved?
Aye.
Body.
Okay, thank you. Senior services update.
Not too much from last month. For April, we have self-defense class coming up this Friday. We have a lunch bunch following Friday on the 11th, and painting class at the end of the month on the 25th. Working on the summer newsletter, and that's really the only update from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. I was going to ask you something. Oh, because it's one of our initiatives, financial scams. Did you have something in February or ready for that?
January.
January. Who did you have for that? People's? Okay. Because that is one of the initiatives that was wanted for this year. So I don't know, I'll bring you in and see, are we going to do another one? We can talk about whether we can.
But I'm not going to do another one. I have like other stuff I want to do, so if the commission wants to do one like in the evening. But senior services won't be doing another one. I have other stuff I'm trying to line up.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. So how many people did you have? I know, off the
I
cuff.
want to say maybe like 12. I could get the actual number, but just trying to visualize the room.
Okay. That's close enough for me. So keep that in mind when we talk about our initiatives, if we want to do a different bank, because we also had talked about, weren't we talking about a lawyer?
Yes, that was another one that you guys.
Was that for the same purpose? They were kind of cajoling to me.
No, that was a
Planning.
separate topics.
A separate topic? Okay. All right. But we have had other people besides People's Bank say that they would do one for us, I think. So we'll have to decide if it having been done in January, if that matches our initiative or not.
You beat us to the punch there.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Okay. Social services.
In the essence of time, I'll keep it quick. No updates, just renter's rebate starting April 1st, which is today. So,
That's
but the
rental
limits-
rebates?
Yes, renter's rebate. So anyone who rents in East Granby who is elderly or disabled receiving disability is eligible if they can show the proof of rent they paid last year and the income and utilities. And then we do have income limits for them put out by the state. So I had everything posted in Talk Turkey, but individuals have to be under 45,200 in 2024 and couples 55,100. And you're eligible. They can be up to 700 for a rebate, and then some are, lower, like $150, just on the scale of how much you make.
Okay, good.
So give a call if you're interested, and we'll get you in. Goes all the way through October. So if you have any relatives, friends, family, anybody, send them my way.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good Samaritan program. I did have it publicized in Talk Turkey, and this is the last time I think did we get any calls on it? Either side of the,
We've been getting calls for CARES Day.
Yeah.
just CARES Day, not Good Sam. Okay, so I'm going to remove that from the calendar. So I thought, well, maybe if I put it in Talk Turkey and elaborate a little bit, we could have gotten some, but that doesn't seem to work. So CARES Day is it. All right. Old business, review of the website. I think we're good. 24 initiatives, Tech with Teens. When I was in there on Saturday, we had 6 people signed up. So it's a go.
Yes, and I have 4 students who are interested. And we said we wanted like about 6 maybe, like
I'll do
half.
10.
You'll do, okay, so 5. Including myself.
Okay. Thank you very much. So that looks like it's going to go. I think that's great.
Great.
Oh, this is the free attorney law. It was actually, I don't know, Eden, Warren, John, I don't know who's
I think
actually,
Eden was heading it and getting more information for us.
yeah.
Someone else
she
took over the office.
Yes, she did give me
Yeah.
the name of the attorney. She did get the name of the attorney.
I think it's Nick, isn't it? Okay, we're tabling that. Rich Galuccio Sunshine Fund, we're going to table because Leah's not here. And new services listing for seniors. Suzanne, how can we help you? Every time I see something like in Facebook or somebody mentions like, you know, the hospital beds, there's a program for hospital beds and stuff, I'm like,
Yeah, so there's a zillion topics that we could put into this book. So actually, I'm going to be meeting the two, Elise and Kelly, in the next couple of weeks, and we're gonna specify it to the needs. I already have it started, but I want to make sure that we're specific about, because you guys know what people are asking about, what they're talking about, because there's millions of things. In the meantime, call 211 if you know some information, because there are resources out there. It's not like there are none, and that's where a lot of people do go to start. So if you have a general question, but we're going to try to streamline it so when people call you, I mean, basically that's the idea. People are going to call you, they're going to speak to you, and you're going to be like, oh, well, let me check out the book, and here's your
Or
resources.
send them, is there a way to be able to send it to them via email?
Yeah, we can
That'd be
do that,
great.
yeah.
yeah. Well, I see it as even more than just a resource for them too. I see it as a book that we can leave out.
Yeah, there is a book at the library in the back side where it's the large print books. I noticed there was a book there. I don't know, is anybody from the library here? No? So I don't know who puts that there, but it has information like that. So I think we're going to end up putting some of this book over there. I just I'll go speak to some library people and see
Okay.
who's actually taking care of that, which I think the information in there might have been from 12 years ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the problem with doing it.
Yeah, so it can be
Right.
different places where people,
Well, at the top of our book, it should say, call 211 for the latest.
well,
You know,
it's an excellent resource. It's
Yeah.
just,
Right.
you call and say, I need some, whatever it is.
Right.
And they will.
And I do also see it as, here's some websites or phone numbers
Right.
too.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. I'm going to put down it'll be places that we know about and that we recommend, so.
Yeah, as long as they haven't been eliminated, in the
Yeah.
next year.
Absolutely.
But let me know if you need help with that.
Thank you.
And Jess is ready
Yeah.
and willing to
Yeah, whatever you.
assist.
Did you ever talk to Corinne about the Granby book?
No, the last I heard, you were going to ask her for the
I saw
Grammy
her
book.
this morning and.
You forgot, yeah, I
No,
know.
but she asked me about my dog and.
Yeah,
Fine.
so
Fine.
it's going along with the thank you note I owe your husband too. So.
Hey,
I know, I sat in the parking lot, I'm like,
he's fine. That's fine.
where did I put that thank you note? I know I took it.
I forgot about that too.
Anyways, I haven't. It'll,
No, the dog is fine.
on my deathbed, I'll be like, I gotta write that note. Because I'm neurotic about that. So thank you very much, Suzanne. Let me know.
Okay.
Let us know what you need from us. Okay, CARES Day.
There's 25 people I think they expect to be doing it this week.
Okay, 25 students.
Students, yeah.
Okay,
And they handed out the forms a day or two ago, so probably next week or the week after. I think next week they'll collect them, and then we'll know exactly how many, but they expect 25.
okay. And how many signups do we have?
10.
Okay.
I said, 11, I add one today.
Okay, yeah.
11.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. That's pretty typical what we have, right?
I think the highest we ever had was 17.
Yeah.
Maybe down to 8.
There are some small jobs, there are a few little ones,
We
so
will get the last minute people
Yeah.
after we send you the list.
they'll
Get
always,
8 calls the day after.
so plan on an extra day.
Yeah. Well, 25 is larger than we've had in the past. I think we only had like
Good group.
14. So should I put a notice in, like Facebook about,
What did we put as a deadline for?
The 12.
12, which one is it?
That's what this well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we just need time. That's the problem, is people signed up. We'd already sent the students the list. It's really complicated once they've divvied it out and kind of worked
Right.
it, and then people are.
I just don't want to have a lot of kids hanging around with nothing to do, because that's, kind of a killer. Why would I sign up for this if there's nothing for me to do?
So there's always a couple of people who have a big yard that sign up.
Say
and
it's just
you
like
can
picking up
always
sticks,
put-
but it's like 2
Yeah.
acres of sticks, so
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
So I think I mean, you're welcome to put it out. I just
Yeah.
would say that you need to make sure you put the deadline.
By- okay.
And we don't
12,
want to
yeah.
have people not being helped because there was a lot of.
I'd rather have them be able to spend more time there if they think of other things, you know, versus they're
Well,
hurrying around.
And you know, like you're over at one of the villages and it's always like, oh yeah, can you just come over
Yeah.
here? You know, they weren't on the list, but you're
Yeah.
there and
And that's fine, you know, we can. help
so,
them.
right.
Yeah.
So there's always kind of last
Okay.
minute add-ons when they see the kids over there helping.
Okay. All right. I'll try to just get a reminder out there and just, we're doing good. Maybe just in a positive note. Okay, the plaque for Rich is out. It's on the rock. It's been placed and, I don't know, attached somehow. So that's done. I was here on Saturday and I walked around and it obviously we're not in a position to have a celebration yet. I think we want to wait until we have some bushes.
Yeah, can we talk about June when the hydration?
Yeah, perhaps June. I don't remember exactly when they come out. It might even be in the fall, quite honestly.
I think I looked on online, it was June.
Yeah, so we can put it tentatively, so we'll have to plan in May to have a June celebration.
It's fine.
Lee would like to invite her family as well, her kids. So I'm putting that out there so you can remind me. Alzheimer's program. I'm getting notices all the time now from Alzheimer's, but we did not vote to have that as an initiative this year. It's not that we can't do it. I can definitely sign up to have somebody come and present at one of our meetings if we want to do that. So I'm leaving it up to you guys what you want to do. Are we planning anything for senior services for Alzheimer's?
Not at this time.
And in the fall, we don't know yet, right?
No, I have two other things that I'm, like, maybe June and the fall, but it's not that. So I don't have anything on the short list for that at this point. I
Okay,
mean, I could put it as a potential future program, but I don't have it on my short cycle.
right. Yeah, so, well, we saw how many people showed up tonight for a really good topic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's hard to gauge what the participation's going to be.
Especially because, nobody wants to come out
Yeah.
at night. So I don't know if it's better to have a day program, but then that kind of involves you and your scheduling. And so I'm looking for feedback. What do we want to do?
What's your intention? Is it just information about Alzheimer's
Information.
disease? I mean, there's a lot of other dementias out there, and then there's also caregivers. So, I mean, there's a lot of topics.
Do we have
No.
some that come to the fair? Well, we do, right?
Yes, we do. This was the first year that I actually was able to reach somebody to actually get them to come. And then, in the conversation, she told me where I could get information on the programs and stuff. So there's like 5 levels and 5 different programs that they offer on the topic. So whether you are a caregiver or if you're going through it or, what the stages are and all of that. So, so do we want to table this for now?
I think if they have a presentation at the wellness fair, we're steering them in the right direction, and they can take it individually from there if they want.
There was, I like that. There was one person a while ago that we had on the wellness fair list that she actually does a test. She had some kind of a test that she would sit down and do with somebody, and that was a precursor to whether or not there was an issue. She ended up leaving that job and never came to the wellness fair. But that was the first time I had ever heard of there actually being like a quick test that somebody could take.
They do those tests on the well visits for Medicare. If you have Medicare, you're supposed to have an annual well visit, and that's one of the tests.
Is that
You
remembering
have to draw
three
a clock,
things?
you have to remember 3 words, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. My friend just went through it and she's like, I was so panicked about those 3 words.
I was too.
Yeah, and that's it.
Did you draw the clock? It has to say 10 minutes to 2. You'd be surprised how difficult that is for people.
3 words freak me out.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what she was saying too.
Did she do the test at the fair? 2 people?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
No, no.
Because that
say,
could be
that's
really like
pretty bad.
embarrassing. Like,
Yeah.
my grandmother would be livid if somebody did that to her.
No,
Herself.
no. It would, she was asking.
Okay.
She would have had like a private corner is what she was saying.
Okay.
But it was like, a quick test like that.
Yeah.
So, but I never got to see the exam, so.
I have quite a few if you're ever curious
Yeah.
what they look like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the BIMS, the slums, the MOCA, there's a lot of assessment tools out there.
Probably when you go to your primary care physician, they're giving you questions.
Usually the BIMS they do,
Yeah.
or a form of it.
Even you, Donna, they're questioning you.
That's so nice. That was my father, and I did it in my head.
Okay. New business. We already did the first one, and thank you very much for bringing Reagan to us. I thought it was awesome. I got this document, and I did include it, and I'm hoping somebody has a clue from being in the town before. Town of East Granby Plan of Conservation and Development Update. Has anybody seen one of these? So apparently it's 10 years old. So February 2025, did you print that out for them or no?
It's on everything.
It's on somebody? Okay. So this POCD section will cover the town's efforts to provide clean drinking water to efficiently manage wastewater needs and establish goals for the future needs. Broad goals from 2016 POCD included increase housing variety to better serve changing demographics, promote creation of apartments and assisted living facilities. Consider all the above. Please add notes in the following broad areas. Significant events of the past 10 years, victories and losses. Has the town accomplished the goals stated above? And are those goals still relevant? So, did we increase housing variety to better serve changing demographics?
We're in the process of it, I think.
Where?
School Street, East Street.
Okay.
But that's just general housing, not specifically age-based.
Right, but is that what they're asking? Is there age-based?
It just says
But I think
changing
that's-
demographic.
Yeah, changing, I think.
Changing demographics, so,
The
What's the
expansion
change?
of things.
hey, I didn't create these, so this is all new to me. I don't know. I was wondering,
Yeah. Need some
I was wondering what
Broad goal.
to do with this. Because I would have said, no, I didn't think we've done anything in the last 10 years for the changing demographics.
Don't know what the changing demographics are.
Right. What's the changing demographic?
I don't know, whoever put this in as a goal for our commission
apartments, just.
10 years ago, was that Rich that did this 10 years ago? I don't know. Promote creation of apartments and assisted living facilities. That's what I was asking about like 2 months ago.
Apartments are happening, right? And
Yeah.
Well,
Not
Because
assisted
it's
living.
done out of the,
yeah,
Yeah.
like this whole plan is, they're outsourcing it for the update, but I'm pretty sure it's all done out of the building department.
but this is not apartments and assisted living that deals with, this is goals and concerns for the Commission on Aging. So I was thinking that this is creation of apartments and assisted living for the aged.
Where was it, just out of curiosity? How is it goals and concerns for us? Where did this come?
Apparently, and I'm just pulling this out of the air, because this was just emailed to me to fill out. it appears that this is what the Commission on Aging submitted for needs 10 years ago.
Who emailed it?
And we're checking, it's at the planning and zoning, a plan of conservation and development. Planning and zoning sent it to me as an update. Did we meet our goals? Or did the town meet these goals that we as a commission said 10 years ago we needed? So it's not like we're supposed to be going out building apartments, but we told them 10 years ago we needed more housing for elderly, and has that happened?
So they asked you to answer these?
Yes. And then, so concerns for the next decade, things to consider: walkability of senior housing complexes, transportation options, services for seniors within the town, healthcare, senior centers, facility, etc. And we have to put in goals and hopes. So I'd like you to take this home and think about it, because I've been thinking about it for like 2 weeks, and I'm like,
When do they want it back?
well, this was dated February 2025, and they didn't really, this is what I got. There was like nothing else. There was no cover letter or anything.
So can we have the copy of what the previous group wrote from 10 years?
Apparently, I just read it to you. Increase housing variety
That's
to
it?
better serve.
Well, there was no like numbers or just.
Like, where did they start?
And the questions to consider: has the town accomplished the goals stated above? And are those goals still relevant? Is there sufficient housing for the aging population? Are there sufficient options for seniors that are income constrained? Are there transit options for those who can no longer drive?
Was the town do anything about the goals that were identified?
I'm sorry, say that
Like-
again.
If the goals were identified, did anybody at the town level have anything to do with making it come to fruition?
I would assume that that was on the planning and zoning department's to-do list. And they're asking us, did they meet their goals? I'd say no.
Did the planning and zoning meet our goals?
Yeah, we apparently told them these are the goals for the seniors 10 years ago, and we haven't seen it yet.
I think
because we
maybe
haven't-
what was
That's an easy
needed
one
10
to
years
answer.
ago
We
is
haven't
not
changed.
needed now.
Well, that's where we have to tell them, did it change?
Confusing.
Did they meet the
Well, where's
goals
the
and how do
data?
we need to?
Are those still goals, are those goals still relevant?
We need to know the data.
Yeah.
Before we can say anything about it.
So, Donna has a good suggestion. How about we have a subcommittee to look at this and investigate this?
Did you say?
How about someone from planning and zoning come to the meeting?
You rebel.
She's my right arm.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's why she has to sit there.
That's why she has to sit there.
Someone from
You think I'd do this on my own? Are you kidding me? I'm a train wreck.
But the other thing too, how do we know when we have sufficient housing for the elderly?
I would assume that we don't have a wait list at the two facilities.
That's good.
We have a wait list.
Well, a short,
We have
it would be
a
a short
wait
wait list. You
It's
could
not
have a
short.
wait- How big is it?
I mean, I think.
year?
Yeah, they said it's maybe getting down a little bit, but it was always like about a year, is what we were told.
So we don't have.
We don't know for sure.
We just
I don't
lost
think anyone
two.
has sufficient
No.
housing for
Seniors.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Especially if that are income.
Affordable housing,
It says
yeah.
the next question is income constrained, so.
Yep, that's-
No, those are the only.
that's the biggest challenge.
Options right there.
So, subcommittee, who would like to be on that one? Come on, everybody said, Cheryl, we don't want you to work so hard. We want to help with everything. Now's the time.
I think you can probably just answer no to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like arrow. You need a subcommittee, I think the whole country is.
Yeah.
Has not enough housing, not enough affordable housing, not enough
The keyword being affordable.
And what's our goals and hopes?
for affordable housing.
Yep.
Connectivity, I mean, just from senior services, I would love it if seniors could walk on a sidewalk
Yeah.
and get to the senior center
Yep.
from both
You know,
villages.
I'm probably,
That's a long walk.
A lot of them walk. They could take a scooter.
But even if they could walk to the farm
Electric bike.
from, you know, there's no
Yeah,
sidewalks
to the
anywhere.
East Granby Farms, I mean, there
From
should be
Medicare.
connectivity, because not all seniors at those housing are 95 and not able to walk. There's a lot of very young, very active seniors at the villages that
And Higley,
walk all the time. They walk their dogs.
they
you
do
know.
walk here from Higley. We have
Yes,
a
they
couple.
do.
Yeah, it's very
We've
dangerous.
had people go on their
Tell them not to.
scooter on 189 or 187.
Yeah,
Coming down here.
very dangerous.
Not good. Not good. So that's just from
Very
senior
dangerous.
services. I would love connectivity from the senior centers to the center of town. They can walk to pay their taxes. They could do, you know, just get them out.
Was some of that part of the School Street revamp to put in more sidewalks? Not necessarily to the
Yes.
villages, but just sidewalks in
Yes.
general that
Yes,
maybe we could.
connectivity, but it's not going to connect to Higley.
not
It's
just
definitely not.
throw that
connecting
in
to
real
town.
quick.
So,
So I
No.
think to Kelly's point, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Just make it easy.
Second, answer to the second question is yes. So I think it was no, yes, no, no, no.
Wait a minute, is there sufficient housing for the aging population? That's a no.
no.
Yeah.
No,
Still
there's only like
relevant, yes.
70.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so
And
I'm
then
probably
three no.
oversimplifying this, but they want to know if they met their goals. If the answer to these two questions is no, they have not met their goals in that case, right?
Correct.
So-
I mean, there are options for seniors who can't drive, but that has nothing to do with, well, your option.
Yeah, I mean, we have town transportation.
Outside of that, we have some options.
Yeah.
People. That doesn't really have anything to do with,
But I mean, that was in place 10 years ago,
Right.
so I'm not sure why
Nothing
that was
changed.
on. Maybe just enhanced, like we don't do medical appointments 5 days a week, we do it 2 days a week. So could be, you know, enhancing what we currently have, but we do have that as an
I
option.
mean, we do have services for the, we have a senior center.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I'm going to put enhanced transportation services. Okay, as you take this home and think about it, you can email me with any additionals. How's that? Because it's getting late and I don't want to keep you here. All right, initiatives. What was voted on, we had 3. Balance and Fall Prevention Program, ta-da. Jess?
Yeah, I wasn't here at last meeting to have any say on that, no.
Well, you suggested it and we voted on it. Art show, done by seniors and their big accomplishments in any time in their life. With a show and tell, accomplishment showcase. Okay, and the last one is financial scams. And multiple banks have offered this. And it was suggested that we do this multiple times a year. Okay? So those are 3. 2 of them were tied, and 1 was the favorite, if you want to know the numbers, if it matters to you. Balance and Fall was number 1. Financial scams and art show was tied for 2. So, Jess, you're willing to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, is that a Saturday program? You think about that?
I mean, I'm only available nights and weekends, so, like, I can't do them, I mean,
That's okay.
I could if I noticed, but I don't know. It depends when the interest would be. Would anybody show up on a weekend for it?
We have currently an 8-week matter balance class that the Farmington Valley Health District is putting on Mondays, and I have 22 people that signed up for it, which was far exceeded. I mean, originally I was telling them, what's your number for us to have to cancel, because I'm not sure what we're gonna get, and
So many.
we had to cut it off.
So you could use a second one.
Yeah, so people may just do, they put it on for free. I think they are working with ARPA monies or whatever, but there's clearly interest in it, so. if
What
you
time
did
of day
something
do they do
tonight,
it on Mondays?
It's 1 to 3
It's 2 hours?
for 8 weeks.
That's intense.
Yeah. So there is interest, and I don't know, you know, if you did a night or a weekend, you might capture those that can't make it 1 to 3.
Yeah.
But you can always do, like a registration. And then if there isn't enough interest, you don't run it.
No, would you want it to be like balanced, like they just come and do like an exercise class that's mostly balance based, or like a little bit of a lecture on fall prevention or like what was, I don't remember what, 'cause this wasn't my suggestion, it was somebody else's. But is it, we're doing balance as fall prevention or are we doing balance and education of fall prevention?
I don't know. It's,
Okay,
I was talking to Lee, she goes to that the 2 hour class,
that's wild.
and she said, all I do is talk. She goes, I haven't done any exercises yet. So she's like, can we please do some exercises instead of talking?
Did you talk to her this week?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did start
Because
to
they were up and moving
Yeah.
this week.
Okay, yeah, but the
That's
last, I think the,
maybe the
well,
first
here the
one.
first week, and then the second week, all I did was talk, and she was bummed.
You know what? I think they did that at my assisted living. I
Yeah,
think they came in and
it's a
did an
rollout
8-week
program.
And I heard similar initially. I think it was only an hour though. I don't know if it was 2. It might have been. I don't know. 2 is a lot. But I feel like that was some of it. Like some weeks were talk, like lecture, and some weeks were exercise. You really had to come to the whole thing. And like, I mean, assisted living wise, you have quite the audience where you've got to really target your set audience. The attention span is the attention span, but
So
I
anyway,
imagine you get
she was
better
anxious for them to start moving, so I'm sure she
They
was.
did on Monday.
Good.
I don't know how much, but I remember coming out and seeing them all. In fact,
Okay.
I thought the class was over early.
They were
I don't know.
standing
Oh, you'll work on that and formulate it.
right. So Jess, we'll table it and you can come back next month and tell us what your plan is.
okay.
And if you need more people to help out too.
Okay.
Okay? And whether you want to do it an evening, night, I mean, 8 weeks is, I wouldn't have anticipated 8 weeks, but hey.
No, I feel like we were doing like a couple here.
Well, and then I said, Jess can do it along with list of suggestions. So I'm guessing it's a handout too of exercises they could do at home.
I can do that easily, and I know that I have to find them, but there are handouts for like all the things home modifications, everything you do at home for fall prevention. Like that part, I've got that part.
So I'm thinking
Get rid of my-
maybe it's just an introduction to, you know, this is what it is, and maybe we show the exercise, or you show the exercises. And then you have a handout.
Yeah.
So it's maybe an hour of here's,
That's fine. Yeah, because you could do like an hour-long movement class and then just give out information on fall prevention at the end. That you
Right.
don't really have to read to people who typically.
right. And then Kelly, since they're doing it and it's for free, you said, right?
Yes, they're not charging me or anyone.
So would they do another one in the fall?
I'm not sure if I would do another one in the fall. I don't know that I'd get, just because I had such a big turnout for this one, I don't know that I'd have to turn anyone away.
Right.
So I probably wouldn't do it that quickly. Like I might do it next year again.
Okay.
So, and especially if you're doing and you know, so it might actually cater to people who didn't want to do 2 hours for 8 weeks.
Right.
Like just want some information,
Yeah,
some
not
exercises they can do at home.
Right.
I don't exercise
So-
2 hours a day.
And if I'm happy to, use my number, like call senior services to register, and then I can just keep the list for you to let you know, like how many people are registered, and then that way you don't have it and nobody shows up. I like to register. You don't want somebody to show up to put on a presentation and there's 2 people there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let me know. And if the timing works, I can get it in my newsletter, depending on when you're doing it and when we decide.
All right, art show. So that was voted on to do that. Do we want to try and have an area reserved at the wellness fair? And have that done there? Or do we
There's
want a
two things.
separate night?
I think that the wellness fair was too full to put,
Yeah, it's crowded.
Unless you could just hang stuff during it, but
but it just to like, there's just a lot.
Too much to-
Yeah. it's-
And you can't tape on the walls.
No.
Just so you know. in here. They don't allow you to tape onto the walls.
Well, with painter's tape, right? Are
Yeah,
they,
probably use some.
Can you use
but
command
can't.
hooks?
Like
I
it
live with
does, the
painter's
paint comes
tape.
off pretty
can
easily.
you, duct tape and painter's tape are my best friends.
Didn't somebody who suggested it, they was like a show and tell though?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a show and tell. I'm not sure who suggested it, but.
They did it at my work. What they did was they, a week or 2 in advance, they set up everybody's artwork on display. And then I think, I didn't go to it because I wasn't there. But they had like a little event where everybody just kind of said a little something about this. Nice. Like they had a little gathering for them all. They got to share about their work.
However, you have a facility where they're kind of locked in, right? Well, not locked in, but I mean, it's a captive audience, right?
Yeah, it's assisted living, so like they live there, yes.
So,
But they're free to go.
no, yes. But what I'm saying is, how would we pull together people and from where in our town to do this? And so we'd also have to be transporting people from the villages or from their homes or,
Technically, the library does a juried art show for all ages every year, so that's something they are used to planning. If you use their area to do like a seniors only style art show, and whoever runs that there might have better ideas.
okay?
I'll ask Monique about it tomorrow.
Perfect.
All right, Kathy, you got it. See what happens when you speak up? It's assigned to you. Thank you. And the last, we started talking about the financial scams. You did a program, you had 12 attendees. That was during the day, right?
Yes, 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. So, do we want to do something in addition and have an evening, or do we want to, what do we want to do? That was the other one that we were recommending.
It doesn't look like evening events are successful.
Then if you have it during the day, that limits the number of people who can attend too.
It depends what age group you're trying to reach, because you have like a senior level that's still working, and then you have a retired senior level, so it depends on who you're trying to target, I suppose. Because like you obviously target retired people that are looking for things to do, whereas we have more wiggle room, I feel like, the 55 plus community.
True statement. Who do we want to target?
I would say the most at risk would be your people, areas where you're.
They get targeted the most.
They get targeted the most for everything. It's like scary.
So is it beneficial to have another one since you just did one in January?
Again, I have other programs that I also want to do, like that.
Oh, I know. I'm not asking you necessarily to do it. I'm saying we would set it up, but it would be during the day.
Yeah, or
So,
you could do it at like 4, you know, like where it's not evening and still light out, but it's not, you know, most people for 5, like right at 5, and have food. So people who are hungry.
Like
Coming from
barbecue
work.
and scams.
You know, there's options. But like during the day hour, you know, and also I'm limited on days. I have exercise, I have knitting, you know, so there's not just unlimited.
Right.
It's either during the day here.
right, the facility is booked, which may be at night too, 5 o'clock for meetings and stuff. So that's the other.
Or if you did like a Saturday morning coffee and scams.
Scones and scams.
There you go.
Scams, huh?
Perfect. There we
How about that?
Scones and scams.
I love it.
Let's wait a little bit, separate it out from your,
Okay.
Yeah, it's only been 2 months,
yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, people don't like to go out in the evening, especially, you know, they might have. Okay, so what did we decide for scones and scams? When are we looking to do?
Saturday morning.
When?
Midsummer.
We don't usually
we
have
don't.
meetings in the summer. We can certainly do meetings in the summer.
Yeah, it needs a little time since.
We don't do a meeting in July and August?
Not typically, Rich never did. He
We do
always-
in June?
We do in June. Yeah. That's always a problem for the wellness fair because all of those invites and stuff have to go out over the summer and we don't have meetings. So there's no one.
You could have subcommittee meetings, right, Donna? subcommittee.
Cheryl is,
Because we have so many people signed up for those subcommittee meetings
Well, this
too.
is in October though, right?
Yeah, it's in October.
Are we gonna have that again?
But-
this year?
And we meet in September. But
Yes, the
I-
problem is,
Yeah, that's.
the save the date has to go out like in June when, otherwise people are like, oh, we're booked.
Do we have the subcommittee lists?
Sweetie, I am the subcommittee, so,
Remember we talked about it being such a huge task?
Right.
We were gonna like try to make it more manageable so that each
Yep.
people can work on.
yes, we have the
We have that
categories.
Okay.
We have categories. There's nobody in those categories, but we have the categories. And we can talk about those either next month or the month after.
Well, I think.
And
that
start
might be
signing it
helpful
up,
To pass
but-
around like what, because somebody may have more insight for, or connections for one thing versus another. So to just have more awareness of what the subcommittees are and how much time it's going to entail to make that all come together. I think that would be helpful to have
So
that
we send it out
information.
as an email, so we have it prior to the next meeting, so we can have an idea, each one will look at it.
That's not a bad idea. I just think it would be helpful because it's true. I mean, if we don't meet in July and August and then all of a sudden we have nothing ready to go and it's,
Well, no, it's all ready to go because
Crazy
I've done it over the
and-
summer. That's what happens,
well,
you know.
That was, the point was for that not to be like.
Right.
We don't want that to happen.
So, I'll email out the categories. I mean, it's really, I can do that.
so there's marketing, there's vendors, there's. What else?
Food, cleanup,
okay.
setup.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are like, okay, get the garbage bags. You know, pick up, decide what you got for food, how much money. One of them now, People's Bank has been giving us 500, so you have to apply for it now. You have to put an actual
You did that though,
application in.
right?
I did it, yeah. I've had to do it a couple of times now. So, and then we wait to see if it's approved. We did beef it up last year. I think you asked me to.
750.
And they came back and said, no, we'll give you 500.
Oh, okay.
So they denied the 750. And then that's also the tchotchkes, whatever kind of tchotchkes. So that's a whole nother thing to decide. So, okay, I've got that on my list to do. And
Are we tabling
uh,
on time?
for
For the
the financial, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to table it.
You talk about scones?
Yeah,
Scones and scans.
are we,
June?
We can do it in the fall. Gets a little crisp in the air, have some scones and tea. Cocoa even.
in the fall?
holidays when people
Cider.
You're laughing now, you're gonna be there.
Well, if we wait until the fall, then it starts getting dark at 5.
But if we're doing Saturday morning.
If we do Saturday morning.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, people won't be away on vacation in the fall, most likely.
In
Okay.
September.
So we'll put it for fall.
I'll skip
Cheryl, I also just need to know if you guys are planning on doing any meetings at the villages over the summer. Either way, I think you guys were saying you weren't thinking of it because the turnout was low, but can we just confirm tonight whether or not, because I'm
Turnout was
working.
zero.
Yeah. No.
We had one.
We had one person and her partner. So, but you know, honestly, it was 98 degrees at 6:30 at night, so.
Yeah, it didn't work.
And the air conditioning didn't work. I mean, we were lucky we had the 2 people because we were melting. So, yeah, we'll have to decide that. When do you need to know that?
I mean, if you guys could decide tonight, that'd be great, but if not, I guess I can wait till the May. Because my newsletter goes out in May for June, July, and August. So
Oh, okay. So do we want to have a Higley and Metacomet meeting?
I would vote no, having been at both of them last year.
Take a year off.
But we had great snacks.
Just bring them.
Why don't we go
Well-
reach out to the manager about that to see, get her input on whether we should or not?
Yeah, I thought that was in the minutes somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure
Adriana?
Adriana's gonna have any input either way. I'm not sure
Adriana?
Adriana's gonna have any input either way. She'll just tell you if you want to have it, you can have it. But
Yeah.
I don't know that she would advise you one way or another.
Yeah, because we also talked about maybe having, like, having a grill, doing something in the centers of each of them, having like a picnic or something, but,
And no show.
well, we'd all be sitting there eating, I guess. I don't know if anybody would come. Metacomet doesn't seem to be very cohesive, where Higley is like extremely cohesive, I think, from what I've heard and seen, but.
Well, let's do one in that case. How's that sound? Just the cohesive one.
Should we, is that something we can do technically, is just one?
Yeah, you guys can do it. I just, tried to figure out what to advertise and.
Because I think Higley last year had the only participation, right?
Yeah, and it
One
was,
lady and then her boyfriend.
right,
I
but
think they might have been.
Dottie was there, but it was 98 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. We were all melting, so. And then we had that
Big
horrible
rain.
storm. So, okay, we want to try and do Higley?
I won't be there.
Okay, let's do a vote on it. Who says a summer meeting at Higley? All in favor?
I'm not even so sure that I'm like.
Raise your hand. Take a year off.
I'm going to say we're done. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sorry to.
Not a problem, not a problem. Okay, no public. Comments from COA.
It was wonderful seeing everyone tonight. We had a nice presentation. I think a lot of us enjoyed what had to be said, and we learned a lot. We'll learn a lot more as time goes on. But it was thank you to your daughter for being here.
Can you give me your address and I'll do a thank you?
Sure.
I'm so good at those thank yous.
It's nice to see everybody. Thanks. I don't have anything.
Could I digress and change the subject?
Sure.
Okay, could I talk about the Yak kids?
Okay, if you can tell me
Okay.
who they are.
They're the Youth Action.
Oh, the Yak.
Yeah. the
Okay,
Yak.
yeah, the Yak.
They
Yeah,
hosted
okay.
our vets meeting just recently, and they fed us, and the kids are impressive. They're serious kids, and each one is able to get up in front of a group and talk about themselves and about Yak, and I can tell you they impressed the hell out of the vets. I just had a feeling that I was in a room with our future leaders, and I was too. These are responsible, serious kids, and they will really impress you. The other thing too is that the sponsors for Yak know what they're doing because they leave the decisions up to the kids. So kudos to the leaders, right, Donna?
We try to let the teachers. We try to tie it all in.
And you do, too.
Very good. Thank you. Kudos.
It was an excellent presentation, so thank you.
It's very nice to have her.
Tom?
I feel the same way. It was nice to hear. I had a totally different perspective on hospice until she enlightened me into the other side of the coin, so that was good.
There's brownies without nuts for you. You gotta get them before you go.
Same. Presentation was fantastic. Happy Easter, happy Passover. Happy spring.
Maddie?
I was just gonna say happy Easter, happy spring, happy Passover, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought the presentation was wonderful. Very good.
Good.
It was nice to see everyone, and I actually thought the presentation was very, very interesting to me.
Good, nice, fascinating.
Yeah, I agree with Maya. I think as a kid, you don't really know a lot about hospice. You just hear what the common misconceptions are, so that was interesting. So, you're not
Good.
You'll be able to write a book by time.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We're working on a book. You want to help Suzanne? Donna?
I want to say thank you for, on behalf of the Yak kids. They actually are taking turns doing, the 8th graders are taking turns leading the group. And they're actually like the chairperson that day. And we utilized the area out here, the pavilion. And so they were able to get an education of where it came from. They're like, hey, where did this come from? And so I proceeded to tell them all about, the donation and how the COA had a lot to do with what, is happening in town. And then I also talked to them about the hydrangeas down. So when the weather comes to a better, spring, to bring some flowers that take a walk down. So that was really good. So I want to thank you for that because they actually used it. And I actually took a picture of the kids sitting out there all around while Everett Lohman ran the meeting, which was really, it's true, the future leaders, right? that we're hoping
Even
for.
the 6th grade level can get up there in front of a group of people and talk about themselves and talk about Yak, and blew me away.
That is our goal, and we're hoping to do the same with the COA. It's just the kids are learning about their community, and it's so important for them to understand what's out there. It's like the resources that your daughter brought to the table tonight. I mean, I've been through it, so I knew a lot of it because both my parents have passed. But when you're going through that journey with your parents and your emotion, there's so much. I honestly believe anyone in the healthcare, you guys are angels on earth. You really are. And you're meant to do what you do, and people would not know what to do without you. So it was a great presentation. I learned myself. I thought I knew most of it, but she really shed some light on the way that she looks at things.
Good.
So thank you.
Great. And I was remiss, I have a thank you note that I did not take care of. Dear East Granby COA Board, I am deeply grateful for the beautiful fruit basket you sent following my dad's passing. Your thoughtful gesture and support have brought comfort to me during the challenging time. Thank you for your kindness and for keeping me and my family in your thoughts. Warm regards, Suzanne Susie. So I also want to thank everybody, and the presentation was great. I think that was wonderful to start off. I too learned a lot, and of course I always ask a lot of questions, which irritates some people, but having gone through quite a few passings of late, I had a lot of questions on just trying to even get services. So I appreciated it. So I would now like to ask a motion to adjourn. Yes, John, he's always ready. Yep.
Second?
Kathy?
All in favor?
Aye. But not until you take some pumpkin.
Any nays? Any nays? No? Thank you, guys. See you in a month.
Watch us, we have your stand.